Somali culture is incompatible with Great Britain. Pakistani culture is incompatible with Great Britain. Sikh culture is incompatible with Great Britain. Enoch Powell was wrong. He thought that there'd be rivers of blood in this country, but he was wrong. It turns out it's just a trickle of blood because that Somali man did not complete the execution of the Irishman. He could not go through or failed to go through with the execution of the Irishman, and there were no rivers of blood. There was no gushing of blood in Belfast, just a trickle. He managed to just scrape the face of the poor Irishman. But to be fair, there may be a trickle of blood, just a trickle of blood, but there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of little white girls that have been raped in this country. So, Enoch Powell was partially right. And if you accept that, I've got a lot more excuses and justification from where that came. Diversity, after all, is our strength. Think of all the cuisine that foreigners bring into this country. Curry, anyone? Chapati, anyone? How about naan? Yeah, think of all this diversity that we have in our food now. Surely all that diversity is worth sacrificing a few girls. It's worth sacrificing a few girls at the altar of deeper cuisine. Now we won't have boring British food like beans on toast, but instead we'll have curry. Surely for that we can sacrifice little white girls and our culture and our civilization.
A lot of white English people that you would trade for a good weekly chicken tikka masala.
Yeah.
Would you trade any other groups of people in England?
Well, yeah, of course
for
I would.
food?
And nobody has actually asked me, so thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, this is
who I meant by a lot of white English people. It was people like Tommy Robinson.
And as we speak right now, women can get prosecuted for carrying pepper spray on their bodies. So if a woman wants to go out and feeling vulnerable and she carries pepper spray on her body, she can get prosecuted for that in this country. Meanwhile, Sikhs can carry ceremonial knives, which they rarely use unless they are racially abused by bastards, white bastards like Henry Novak. And then the knives come out. But fret not, worry not, we are in safe hands because Sikhs carry these things only for ceremonial purposes. Meanwhile, women who want to protect themselves, I don't think they can be up to any good with that pepper spray. After all, who knows what kind of permanent damage that you can mete out with pepper spray. You could cause somebody to be temporarily blind for like 5 minutes. That's life-changing. That is life-changing. And don't even get me started on Mohammedan privilege in Birmingham, where accountants can just wave knives in public as they wish. On a more serious note, I find it fascinating that boomers back in the 60s and 70s looked at their country and thought, this is a beautiful kingdom, but you know what's missing? Foreigners. We need more foreigners in this country. We need more foreigners to bring diversity to this country.
We all have to think in terms of the one world, one humanity. And we all have international obligations to fulfill if it's going to be a peaceful world for everybody.
Do you think we should take as many as we can fit in?
Yes, I do, most definitely. And that I think that we should cooperate in many ways to make sure that the needs of these people are fulfilled.
What about the racial tension that might well be created here as a result?
Well, I think that we have to implement new education schemes into the schools to change people's attitudes.
It doesn't matter if these foreigners are ill-equipped, if they are bringing foreign and strange cultures with them. It's okay. We need a little more diversity. Otherwise, England is just plain boring. It's too vanilla. We need a little more variety. And boomers decided to bring foreigners in their hordes to this country to spice up things, working on the assumption that once these foreigners were here, they would acclimate to this country and they would take on British culture just like that, and especially if you brought them in their millions.
In doing so, it is important to recognise for many people this is a highly sensitive issue, and in discussing it, we should try to step into the shoes of those who perhaps are not from the same culture as ours, to better understand why the practice continues to be so widespread.
Have you seen Englishmen abroad? Have you seen Englishmen when they go on holiday? How, when they land, they stick out like a sore thumb, which is fine. And they presume that everyone speaks English, which is not an unreasonable assumption to make. But why do you think that if an Englishman who goes on holiday and struggles to acclimate to the country that he's visiting, why do you think if he struggles, a foreigner that you are saying come in and bring your family, bring your extended family, and bring your friends as well and their families, why do you think those people will suddenly, when they get to this country, they will start acting British, they'll start acting proper? Why do you think that? Why on earth would you think that? Do you think that the climate in this country is what magically changes people from being savages into proper British gentlemen? Stunning. Stunning to think how this country has been destroyed by people that think that savages are noble. There's just this concept of noble savages out there. Once they breathe the British air, once they breathe the sea air off Dover, they will magically transform into upright citizens. They will magically transform into people that are not on the dole taking advantage of British taxpayers. They will magically transform into law-abiding citizens. As I finish this video, I suppose we can comfort ourselves that in spite of all these challenges, we can rest assured that the worst offenders in this country of any crime are white people, specifically white men. There are far more white men who rape people than the Muslim gangs. There are far more white men who commit murder than any other group. And I'm sure if we look into the statistics, we'll find that there are far more white men who behead people compared to Somalis in this country. That is the comforting thought to take to bed tonight. At least you can rest easy knowing that white people are the worst. The only good white person, apparently, is a dead one.
Only good cracker is a dead cracker. 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 Only good cracker is a dead cracker.